Hi. So, welcome. Welcome to the second holy night, which is Pluto in Capricorn beginning to move into Aquarius. So, I misspoke a little bit that last night was going to be about Pluto and Capricorn, when in fact it was just a journey into the realms of death. And to also recap last night, one of the things that we're working on turning around right now on the planet and in our consciousness is this feeling that the material world is all that there is, and that this place that we're in and our consciousness around it is all that there is, and that this realms of the spiritual, of the angelic, are not real when they are in fact quite real. And I'm not asking you to believe anything. I am just simply restating some of what we were with last night in the first holy night. And before I go any further, I want to introduce myself. My name is Anne Sutter. I am a certified soul level astrologer, and I studied in the College of Wizards and Visionaries with Mark Borax, my illustrious teacher and compadre, and his wife, Marcella Eversole. And Mark developed soul level astrology, and he developed soul level astrology from the learning he did in multiple arenas, and really from Elias Lonsdale, who's the progenitor of a system called Star Genesis. And so, what I'm going to be sharing with you, this version of the Holy Nights that I'm doing, is quite unorthodox. It's not the traditional Steinerian version at all, by any stretch of the imagination. I'm doing it with my own flavor. And what I'm doing is I'm sharing some transcripts with you from Elias Lonsdale speaking earlier this month in December that were gifted to me by Sheila Bachmeyer. So thank you, Sheila, for the gift of those transcripts. And I thank you, Elias and Mark and Marcella and everyone in this lineage of astrology, for all of the teachings and the work that we've all done to bring this information forward. And so I just want to give a little setup that last night we didn't do so much astrology. So tonight we're going to go into a little more astrology in the way that we do it in this system. Um, and tonight we are going to visit with Pluto in Capricorn. So welcome, and here we go. So here's Elias speaking, and I'm going to be reading. I've got a transcript here that I've marked up and taken notes on, and that's what I'm going to be reading from. So Elias says, we're going to do this, and we're going to explore the world of what it means for Pluto to move into Aquarius at the start of the second holy night or the end of the first, whichever way you want to look at it. So these next two nights are going to be about Pluto and Capricorn and Pluto and Aquarius. They kind of blend back and forth because he's talking about both of them. And what is really happening now, that what everybody's been promised would be coming is on the way. Last spring, we had a preview. This year, from January to September, we have a full-on helping of Pluto in Aquarius. And just to give you all who want factual information some dates, I just want to give you these dates, and those of you that care about it, write it down, and if you don't, then ignore this. So Pluto was in the sign of Capricorn from January 5th, 2008 to June 14th, 2008. Then from November 26th, 2008 to March 23rd, 2023. Then September 1st, 2024, June 11th, 23 to January 20th, 2024, and then September 1st, 2024 to November 19th, 2024. So if you want to look at those dates and feel about what you were aware of, feel free to do that. Now, Pluto going into Aquarius, I'm going to give you those dates also. Pluto went into Aquarius for the first time this year on March 23rd, 2023. Not for the first time ever. The last time was the late 1700s and the time of Beethoven. So I'll say more about that tomorrow, about Pluto and Aquarius. But March 23rd, 2023 to June 11th, 2023, then January 20th, 2024 to September 1st, 2024, it will be there. Then November 19th, 2024 through March 8th, 2043. And then August 31st, 2043 to January 19th, 2044. Those are the dates that Pluto is in Capricorn, and then in Aquarius is the second set of dates that I read. So we got a little preview of Pluto in Capricorn from March to June of this year. And on January 20th, we're in the second holy night in the time of Aquarius. We are going to experience Pluto almost completely fully going into to Aquarius at that point. So without further ado, here we go with Pluto in Capricorn. And what really is happening now with Pluto in Aquarius that everybody's been promised would be coming is on its way. Last spring, we had a preview. This year, from January to September, we have a full-on helping of Pluto in Aquarius. Then, as we'll see later, we'll have a brief September to November return to Pluto in Capricorn, and then really get all the way into Pluto in Aquarius later in the year. I've been studying this subject a lot, and what I'm seeing now is that Pluto and Capricorn has been providential. In fact, I'm going to make a case in the next 10 minutes or so for blessing and being grateful for and appreciating and honoring what Pluto and Capricorn has wrought. And it's a hard sell because it's been a pretty horrendous experience for most of us. Nonetheless, this is what I'm seeing. So he's already starting to turn this around. This is Anne speaking now. He's starting to flip around our experience of what this has been, because I don't know about you all, but these last 2 years have been some of the most challenging times of my entire life. And it seems that everyone across the board is having that experience in one way or another in our own unique ways. So I just want to acknowledge that. And I also want to tell you guys that this transcript isn't very long today, and I don't think we'll be a total of maybe 25 minutes max, if 20. So just to give you the context for how long this will be today. What's happened is that from 2009 onward, we have been losing our touch with the realm that Capricorn really emanates from. And that is traditionally the realm of ancient, timeless wisdom. So this is Anne speaking again. Here's Elias Lonsdale giving us a little gold nugget of what is the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is the sign of ancient, timeless wisdom. And the result is, in a difficult sense, that we're no longer led by souls who know the way. We're no longer even referencing the possibility that there will be people around who are awake and clear and true in an ultimate sense. We've lowered our level of what we expect. We've lowered the bar tremendously. And think about our expectations. This is Anne speaking again about the government and about the world and about society and about culture and the farce that we're all tolerating and living in right now, right? It's almost like a comic. It's so ridiculous, except that it's sad and and there's so much suffering that's going on as a part of it. It would be funny if it weren't so horrifying. And that's very painful and it's very difficult. I'm back to the transcript. We need that guidance. We need all that. However, as all spiritual beings are, this didn't happen just arbitrarily, or just because it's evil, or just because things go weird around here or something. This actually happened for a greater purpose. All of this has been providential. All of this has been necessary, every damned bit of it, because the way we were looking at the world in 2008, 9, and 10 was still based on putting spirit and all greater things above and beyond us, and basically experiencing this world as this fallen place that was so lacking in all these ultimate things that it was getting to be more and more impossible to be here. So he's saying this is what's been wrong. This is part of one of the many things, but this is one of the, not wrong. He's saying it's actually not been wrong. He's saying that this is the distortion that we've been in. And he's pointing out this distortion. Do you see how hard it is for my mind, even as I'm reading this and coming out of looking at it as wrong? And he's saying it's providential. I still am having a hard time shifting out of that consciousness that somehow it's wrong and into the consciousness that is providential. So hopefully we can make some headway in that way together. Now, back to the transcript. Pluto has a strategy that it uses for dealing with stuff, and it's a strategy that none of us appreciate ordinarily. We basically don't know what to do about it, but when we do know about it, we certainly don't like it. Instead of correcting us or giving us an alternative or helping us to get beyond the state that we're getting caught in, Pluto, for good reasons, as we'll discuss here, feels, senses that in this reality, we have to take things deep and far. And unless we take things deep and far, we don't get through them. We just fake it. We just do it very skeletally. And so what's happened is that the spiritual decline, you could say, of humanity has gotten so steep in this last, 13, 14 years, that now everybody is up against it. Even those who are supposedly acting like it's all cool and really just whistling in the dark, we're all in this darkness. And I'm saying that the darkness is a lot more authentic. It's a lot more experientially real than the upholding of the traditions, that it becomes so thin and so obligational, so dutiful, that it wasn't even possible to continue like that at all and believe that it was doing anything for us. So what has happened is that we've basically lost all touch with worlds above. And right here at this moment, what I'm being told and what I'm saying, excuse me, but the reality is that the worlds above you that you have all lost touch with and you think are pale and lifeless and abstract and way out there, that's not the case. The case is that you've fallen away. We've all fallen away, but we had to fall away so that instead of it being where we're guilty and they're saying that you're wrong, he's saying, like, the angels aren't saying we're wrong and we feel guilty that we're wrong and that we're doing it bad and wrong, and now we've really done it and now the world's cursed. No, it is that we had to go where our darkest fantasies were taking us. And he's in the second person now, so I'm going to read it in the second person. You had to ride way under because you had to know what it's really like. We now know what it's really like. However, when Pluto goes out of Capricorn, we're going to have to find an authentic basis for high vertical existence, because we can't live without the angels. We can't live without our higher selves. We can't live without the hierarchies and the cosmos and the divine. We just have to do it in such a way that it's real, that it's true, and that it's experiential. It's carved out of our flesh and our soul. And so, Pluto in Capricorn has basically called our bluff in excruciating depth and detail, taken us where we imagined we had to go. And at this point in the last phase of it, we're basically dropped into a world where our darkest fantasies have come true, except that they haven't come true. They've just exacerbated the illusion that we've been under the whole time. But what we really want to know about is, what about Pluto and Aquarius? Well, it's a different story. It's a whole different story. Each sign is like a completely different realm. Aquarius is the sign of learning what it is to be connected to anybody and everybody in any range close to our frequency, our reality, our truth. And that mostly includes beings of the many worlds. Now, this is different from the high vertical sense of Capricorn. This is much more horizontal. So vertical, as above, so below. Horizontal, looking around and what's right here around us. This is different, Aquarius, than the high vertical sense of Capricorn. This is much more horizontal. This is about what happens when you discover what sisterhood and brotherhood really are. But this is sisterhood and brotherhood that are not just with human souls, not just with people like you, but actually with all the beings of all the worlds. So this is Anne speaking. Like the angelic and all the multidimensional realms and the realms of earth. In the realms of earth, we have the plant realm and the animal realm and the mineral realm and the human realm. And then there's all of the realms of spirit and the realms of soul. So he's saying that this is about us discovering brother and sisterhood with all of the realms. Not only do you have this sentiment or attitude or idea or yearning for that, you actually discover and explore and become where this kind of community sense leads. However, as we've seen with Pluto and Capricorn, Pluto is not here to fulfill our wildest dreams. Pluto is here to amplify our nightmares. And our nightmares in the Aquarian realm are that the only way we can access a real connectivity with other souls in other worlds is through the kind of technology that enslaves us. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go for the kind of technology that enslaves us, particularly AI. And when we're about to conceive that we're really connected tremendously to those who are beings that we create and co-create, and that basically it's all cool, it's all fine, it'll all work. But because, and I just want to make a note here, he's referencing this because part of the light of Aquarius is this feeling, this connection of brotherhood. The shadow of Aquarius is what we see in all the science fiction movies where humanity becomes robotic and mechanistic. The Steiner sense that goes with the sixth life stream, with the Aquarian life stream, is this sense of hot and cold. So the shadow side of that is we get either too hot and fiery and passionate, or we get too cold and we turn into the ice queen and we become mechanistic and we try to make humanity be not organic. We try to fit our humanity into the lines, all the lines of logic and reason, and these straight lines that we're trying to deconstruct everything to the point that there's no organic reality or livingness left in it anymore at all, right? And there's no heart, there's no love in the shadow side of Aquarius. And the light side of Aquarius is there is a love that all of us profoundly, deeply long for in the depth of our souls and beings. And it's all that we really are, and it's all that we really desire. Okay, I'm done speaking, so I'm going to go back to the transcript. So he was saying before to those beings that we create and co-create, and that basically it's all cool, it's all fine, it'll all work. But because the whole thing is rigged from the beginning toward a certain outcome, it will come onto us really as a kind of profound illusion that everybody falls for at once and that everybody becomes swept away by. So then there's good news. The good news is that we are not going to fall for it. Why? Because the only reason we created this scenario in the first place was to check out what happens to us when we become just our quantitative external mind. To see if we could really push that far, really far, see if we would care, see if we would notice, see if it would mean anything to us, if it would change anything for us. For us to be operating by remote control, by a mental dynamic that is basically devoid of soul. And what's astonishing about this situation, listen well, Capricorn is the slowest learner in the zodiac, and Aquarius is the fastest learner in the zodiac. Capricorn has set the bar high for how reluctant, resistant, and agonizingly slow we could be in relation to the lessons of Capricorn. Aquarius will set the bar high in terms of rapidly, multidimensionally, in much greater ways discovering what happens when we do learn the lessons and move on, when the experts are constantly alerting us to that they are in charge and they know the best and everybody else doesn't know anything, which of course is total illusion. So what we're going to do is we're going to prove to ourselves and each other that we can learn very fast, and that itself will be what turns it around. Because if we're not these sluggish, inert creatures that we now fancy ourselves to be, if we're actually activatable, sparkling, bright future beings, we can basically learn across the spectrum, learn from all our mistakes, and change everything in the wink of an eye. And there are lots and lots of younger generations coming up who understand this a whole lot better than we do, and who are already on it. This is what they're doing in every way. And for most of them, first they have to fall for the technological juggernaut, and then they eventually get restless with it when they realize it's making them dependent on something outside of them. Whereas they have all of these skills built into them, and those skills want to emerge through them in concert with each other and in concert with worlds on either side that are assisting us. And these worlds are part of what we could call parallel universes. They're part of what we could call everything that we have forgotten is here with us. It's a whole huge subject. When we get into a class in this in February, I'll go all the way into that, but for the moment, that's enough. Okay, now, there's just two more things that I want to accentuate here about Pluto and Aquarius. When we first get in it, we already experienced this somewhat last spring, back in March when Pluto went into Aquarius for a few months. When we first get in it, but we kind of knew that it wasn't going to last. When we first get in it, it's kind of a big surprise. The first degrees of Aquarius, I actually do star work. You might find it wild after all of this, but the first degrees of Aquarius and the Chandra symbols, and the Chandra symbols, as Anne speaking, are interpretations of the different degrees of the zodiac, right? There's 30 degrees in each sign, so 1 through 30 of Aquarius, of Capricorn, of Scorpio, of Aries, Libra, blah, 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 right? And so he's talking about the interpretations. In certain systems, it's imagined, and I think it could be a reality, that there's an angel of each degree, and that angel has a certain frequency to it, and color and tone. And so there's an energy that goes with each degree of the zodiac. The way I always describe it to clients when I'm doing this, I'm just going to take a minute to teach this for a second, because we have another page and a half to go here, is that, like, there's 12 signs in the zodiac, and so that's 12 flavors, like the 12 disciples or the 12 of anything we have. We have 8 notes in a scale, and so that's an octave, then that's an 8. Well, remember how when you were in, like, elementary school, like in first grade or kindergarten, you had 8 crayons, and they were those big thick crayons, and you only had those 8 colors, but then you got to second or third or fourth grade or however old you were, and you got the box of 64 colors. Well, imagine that the zodiac is 360 colors that you get to play with. You get cornflower blue and flesh colored and carnation pink and maroon and all of those things, right? And so that's what he's referring to when he refers to the Chandra symbols, is the energy of the degree and a particular interpretation of the energy of those degrees. Okay, so let me get back to where we were. Aquarius. Okay, so when we first get in it, we already experienced this somewhat last spring, but we kind of knew that it wasn't going to last. And when we first get in it, it's kind of a big surprise. The first degrees of Aquarius and the Chandra symbols are they're very much involved with startling, gigantic events, lightning and thunder in one way or another. And we're going to be in a lot of lightning and thunder starting in January. We're going to be in a lot of sort of stunning, sudden events in nature and beyond, and we will be introduced to the new in ways that will require us to learn not to react to phenomenal appearances. Phenomenal meaning the things that we can see with our eyes, the phenomenon. We're going to be exposed to sudden, stunning events in nature and beyond, and be introduced in ways that will require us to learn not to react to phenomenal appearances, but rather to respond to what it feels like in the body when these things happen. And the skill we're going to really need, and we're going to be teaching this skill, is how to respond creatively to the big changes rather than reacting sort of knee-jerk reaction to the way it comes down on the surface. And this is Anne, and that sounds like a really good thing that I would like to learn to do a better job of, certainly. Okay, final point. You know, I personally, and this is Elias speaking, have had a very, very hard time with Pluto and Capricorn. However, in one real sense that I don't really find reflected in most other people, that's not entirely true. So I have to confess the other side of things. We all love bad news, and we have trouble with good news, but here's the good news. What I have found in particular this year most of all, I have found that the one in me who is aligned and synchronized with a vaster reality has become intensely present. intensely insistent, and that one in me that is aligned with a vaster reality has started to rule the roost. And I suspect by January 20th, when Pluto goes into Aquarius, it will have completely taken over. And if so, what this one is doing is saying that everything I've given over is because it was false, and I have to bring it back because it's true. And the difference between the false version and the true version is when I was in the false version, I was going along with the show. In the true version, I am earning every ounce of it by inner activity. I'm becoming fully present, fully active. I'm letting myself come through. In fact, I'm becoming very much connected to the other realms. And one of the reasons that Haven Song, and he's referring to his former wife, Sarah, who passed 30 years ago. One of the reasons that she can come through me now so well for the first time fully is that I'm so much like her now. I've been on her journey for 30 years and she's been on mine, and we learn from each other. And the way she's invoking things is very much the way I'm experiencing them. So much so that it breaks my heart to feel it coming back at me so wakefully and so strikingly and so crystal clear. So I will say that for me, this time of being in a world of where everything's gone, everything's under doubt and suspicion, everything is seen as a scam, basically. All you have to do is flip it over and discover that the scam is those who face scam. The doubt is those who doubt. The negative consumes itself. And we can emerge from making everybody wrong all the time, starting with ourselves secretly, to actually seeing and knowing and feeling ourselves as these evolving beings, awakening beings who admittedly have fallen for the most incredible crock of shit the world has ever come down with. I mean, we are definitely gullible. This has been Gullible's travels this last 13, 14, 15 years. So we're completing Gullible's travels, and we're starting to imagine that maybe we could actually really exist. What would that be like? What would it be like to actually know not only that we can exist, but to claim it and claim it together and help each other, support each other in finding that. So that completes the second holy night with a little preview of Pluto and Capricorn and Aquarius. And tomorrow on Wednesday, we will be going into the year of the wood dragon and talking about what that means for the third holy night. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here whenever you're here, whether it's on YouTube 3 years from now or right now live. And thank you, Elias and Sarah and Sheila, for the transcripts and the teachings, and Mark and Marcella. And I look forward to being with you all tomorrow. And please, I love to hear in the comments, what did you learn? What stuck out for you? I'm like letting this come through me and I'm giving it, and I have no idea how you're receiving it. So I love to hear from you all, and thank you so much. Have a blessed, blessed second holy night.